Holy fuck! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Did you hear the explosion from
yes.
your position?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, we heard it, and because I was just like standing there pretty much looking out the window, I didn't see what caused it or if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Oh my God. Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
This one into the East Tower?
Yes. Yes. Right in the... And right now, that was definitely looked like it was on purpose.
You saw a plane?
Yes, I just saw a plane go into the building.
As watching it again, it's the first time. This is
the other tower, ladies and gentlemen. Another explosion at tower number 2 of the World Trade Center just happened live on our air.
The first that we had heard, the impact only affecting Tower 1, but as our producers and reporting staff in the field is telling us, and you can see now to the left of your screen, there is fire in the second
lower the
tower.
Camera just a little bit. You can see right at the bottom of the TV screen, billowing smoke from a bomb or explosion. We do not know if it's a bomb. I'm speaking out of turn here. A second explosion that just happened. The first we understand was from an airplane. The second we have no idea.
No idea at all at this point what has triggered it.
Within the last couple of weeks, in fact, there was a pilot who flew. There was another one. We just saw another one. We just saw another one apparently go. Another plane just flew into the second tower. This has to be deliberate, folks.
Well, that would begin to say that, yeah.
We just saw on live television as a second plane flew into the second tower of the World Trade Center.
The first plane crashed into the North Tower of the Trade Center at around 8:50 this morning. Witnesses said this first plane looked like a commercial jetliner. Shortly afterward, another plane hit the other tower, causing another massive explosion. That was apparently a smaller plane.
On the World Trade Center, both towers, planes smashing into each one.
I've never seen any, it looks like a movie. I saw a large plane, like a jet, go immediately headed directly into the World Trade Center. It just flew into it, into the other tower coming from south to north. I watched the plane fly into the World Trade Center. It was a jet. It was a very large plane. It was going fast. It went past the Ritz-Carlton Hotel that's being built in Battery Park. It flew right past it, almost hit it, and then went in.
This is so shocking, of course, to everybody watching.
I've never seen anything like it. It literally flew itself into World Trade Center.
We heard it, and because I was just like standing there pretty much looking out the window, I didn't see what caused it or if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
There's another one.
Standard time, a plane crashes into one of the towers at the World Trade Center in New York. Some 18 minutes later, television viewers across the country watch in astonishment as a jetliner flies right into the second Trade Center tower. In Sarasota, Florida, President Bush calls the crashes an apparent terrorist attack.
Whoa, shit.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
We're fucking bombing it. Holy fuck.
A remarkable piece of video. And I should point out that it was provided to ABC News for free.
Holy shit.
How the fuck the planes doing? Holy shit.
Jim Friedel in Hoboken said it appeared to bank sharply and smash directly, perhaps purposefully.
So I went inside and I turned on a TV and I saw what millions of Americans saw.
As we were getting our gear on and making our way to the stairway, there was a heavy-duty explosion.
The whole building just collapsed on us inside the lobby.
Was that a secondary explosion?
Yes, it was.
That was the
planet, probably.
Yeah, definitely a secondary explosion.
I heard a second explosion and another rumble.
An hour later than that, we had that big explosion from much, much lower.
It just went ba-boom. It was like a bomb went off. And another explosion came right from it, just everyone flying.
There were numerous secondary explosions taking place in that building. There were continuous explosions.
No, the first explosion, and there was a second explosion in the same building. There were two explosions.
Okay. Federal agencies that were down there do believe that there was some sort of explosive device somewhere else besides the planes hitting.
There was another explosion that took place in one of the towers here. So obviously, according to his theory, he thinks that there were actually devices that were planted in the building.
There was a secondary explosion, probably a device either planted before or on the aircraft that did not explode until an hour later.
Then there was those secondary explosions and then the subsequent collapses.
That the FBI most likely thinks that there was a car or truck packed with explosives underneath the buildings, which also exploded at the same time and brought both of them down.
Now that's the first time we're hearing that. So 2 planes and explosives that were in the building, is that correct?
That is the working theory at this point. That is
A huge explosion now waiting to play on all of us.
It sounded like gunfire, you know, bang, 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 and then all of a sudden 3 big explosions.
About 50 consecutive bangs, and it fell down like a waterfall.
And we heard the noise associated with an implosion.
We heard a very loud blast, an explosion. We looked up, and the building literally began to collapse before us.
We heard a loud explosion, and at that point, Building 2 was collapsing.
At that point, we heard a large boom. You know, I looked up and just saw the building coming at us.
Do you know if it was an explosion or if it was a building collapse?
To me, it sounded like an explosion.
There was another major explosion. The building itself, literally the top of it came down.
All of a sudden you hear explosion and you could see the building starting to collapse.
Huge explosion that we all heard and felt.
We understand now there has been a secondary explosion on Tower 2.
According to the Associated Press, another building that has either been attacked or exploded.
The tower, rather, that has collapsed, though we are told, collapsed because of a third explosion.
And about an hour later after that, there was a huge explosion at the base of the South Tower. That's One World Trade Center, and part of the building collapsed.
We could hear a rumble, which was about 5 seconds long, preceding the actual collapse, and then a boom when each of those towers collapsed.
Just seconds ago, there was a huge explosion, and it appears right now the Second World Trade Tower has just collapsed.
I was about 5 blocks away when I heard explosions.
And then you heard from far away, boom, boom. And you heard the boom, 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 boom.
Floor by floor, it started popping out.
It was if they had detonated. If they were planning to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
From the corner, boom, 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 boom. Just like 20 straight hits. And as the bombs were going, people just started running. And I sat there and watched a few of them explode, and it just started going pop. It just started going boom, 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 boom. And he goes, how fast? I go, like firecrackers.
The information that the Central Intelligence Agency has obtained by questioning men like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has provided valuable information and has helped disrupt terrorist plots, including strikes within the United States. For example, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed described the design of planned attacks on buildings inside the U.S. and how operatives were directed to carry them out. That is valuable information for those of us who have the responsibility to protect the American people. He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives went off at a point that was high enough to prevent people trapped above from escaping.
Everybody talks about what the new Trade Center is going to look like, but I'm telling you right now, the old Trade Center was the most beautiful thing in the world. It was a city in its own, and they made it that way. Those people that worked there made it that way.
For 7 years, 37-year-old Philip Morelli was a construction worker inside the Trade Center. The Queens native says he loved his job at the Twin Towers.
And there was always construction going on in the World Trade Center. There's a lot of floors. Between the two buildings, there was 110, so that's 220. And then you had 9 floors in building 4, 5, and 6. So there was always something going on, and we were always there.
And Phil was there the morning of September 11th. As always, he was on the site bright and early.
I got in at 6 o'clock in the morning. I went downstairs to, you know what I mean, we usually, our shanty is where we all dress, and, you know what I mean, we have coffee in the morning. I went down there, and as the guys were coming in, everybody's talking and, you know what I mean, laughing, talking about their night, the day before, the night before, who's talking about this, who's going to do this, who's going to do that.
At 8:30, he says he was headed to level B4 in Tower 1, 4 stories below ground.
We've got a very dramatic audio timeline of the morning of September 11th. Some of these audio tapes became declassified just last year. Combined with what was previously released, these tapes offer perhaps the most dramatic timeline of the moments the hijackings were taking place. We hear voices of people on the front lines, including a flight attendant on board a hijacked plane. We're going to start with her. Betty Ong. She was on board American Airlines Flight 11 at 8:19 a.m. Eastern Time. This is just about 27 minutes before that flight hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Just 5 minutes later at 8:24 a.m. Eastern Time, just 22 minutes before impact on the North Tower, you hear the haunting voice of the lead hijacker, Mohammed Atta. Just incredible to hear the voice of the lead hijacker, Mohammed Atta. Now, just over half an hour later, at 9:02 a.m. Eastern Time, air traffic controllers trying to figure out what's going on with the second plane. This is United Airlines Flight 175. Follow the purple track here. It has already looped south of New York, heading north toward the South Tower of the World Trade Center, and 2 air traffic controllers practically narrate the impact. Take a listen.
Hey, can you look out your window right now? Yeah. Can you see a guy at about 4,000 feet, about 5 east of the airport right now? Looks like he's...
Yeah, I see him.
You see a guy, look, is he descending for the building also?
He's descending really quick, too, yeah.
Well, that's
2,500 feet now. He just dropped 800 feet in like one sweep.
That's another situation. What kind of airplane is that? Can you guys tell?
I don't know. I'll read it out in a minute. Another one just hit the building.
Wow. Wow, another one hit it hard. Another one just hit the World Trade.
The whole building just came apart.
Holy smokes.
Take you forward to just about a half hour later, 9:28 a.m. Eastern Time. You've got air traffic control trying to track United Airlines Flight 93. Cleveland Air Traffic Control is trying to get another flight, American Airlines Flight 1060, to help find Flight 93. But that Cleveland controller picks up some audio from inside Flight 93. If you listen carefully, you can hear people screaming. And listen very carefully, you'll hear someone seemingly saying, "We're all going to die in here." Listen.
That's American 1060.
And of course, just minutes later, that plane hits the ground in southern Pennsylvania in the town of Shanksville.
I go downstairs, the foreman tells me to go to remove the containers. As I'm walking by the main freight car of the building, in the corridor, that's when I got blown. I mean, the impact of the explosion, of whatever happened, it threw me to the floor, and that's when everything started happening. It knocked me right to the floor. You didn't know what it was. Of course, you're assuming something just fell over in the loading dock, something very heavy, something very big. You don't know what happened, and all of a sudden you just felt the floor moving, and you get up, and the walls. And then, you know what I mean, now I'm hearing that the main freight car, the elevators, you know what I mean, fell down. So I was right near the main freight car, so I assumed what that was. Then, you know what I mean, you heard that coming towards you. I was racing, I was going towards the bathroom. All of a sudden, I opened the door, I didn't know it was a bathroom, and all of a sudden a big impact happened again. and all the ceiling tile was falling down, the light fixtures were falling, swinging out of the ceiling, and I come running out the door, and everything, the walls were down, and now I started running towards the parking lots.
Nearly 100 floors below where the first plane hit, Phil felt the devastating impact. But 4 levels below ground, he had no idea terrorists had done it on purpose.
What did you think was going on?
I just thought something, because I know that the loading dock is on B1, that's 3 floors above me. I just assumed that a car or something exploded on B1 or something got delivered and something big and heavy fell over. You just knew it was something big because, you know, I can't even imagine living in San Francisco or earthquakes, but when the floor is moving underneath you and everything is just happening and smoke and people screaming, then I never knew until when I got outside the building and I was running down the west side. That was the only time I ever heard about planes hitting the building.
But before he got out of the building, he faced obstacles underground.
As I ran into the parking lots, you know, I mean, everybody's screaming. I actually helped somebody get to a staircase that had a broken leg. There was a lot of smoke down there. There was a lot of people screaming. People came with us running up the ramps. We wanted to get help for the people that couldn't move down there. And as we were running up the ramps, and, you know, it's not like a regular mall that you're going straight up. You have to go, you know, you got to go clear across the whole from 1 to 2 World Trade Center. You know what I mean? That's the way you got to run. And then all of a sudden it happened all over again. Building 2 got hit. And then, again, I don't know that. I just know something else hit us to the floor. Right in the basement, you felt it. Walls were caving in, everything that was going on. I mean, I know of people that got killed in the basement. I know of people that got broken legs in the basement. People that got reconstructive surgery because the walls hit them in the face. And I know I love seeing everybody every day that survived it and was there. And I just hear everybody's story. And it was terrible. No matter where you were in that building, there was no safe place to be except to get out, help as many people as you can, and just try to get out because there was devastation everywhere.
If you read my book, there was a book just before the World Trade Center came down. And I don't get any credit for this, but that's okay. I never do. But here we are. I wrote a book, a really very successful book. And in that book, about a year before the World Trade Center was blown up, I said, there is somebody named Osama bin Laden. You better kill him or take him out, something to that effect. He's big trouble. Now, I wasn't in government. I was building buildings and doing what I did, but I always found it fascinating.
Yeah, here's one of the guys who can tell you I'm okay, all right? Here, hold on. You want to call your mother or something?
To be right now. You gotta get back from here.
I know that. You gotta get back. All right. Don't worry about me. You need to make calls right now. All right.
And the 4-1 should have taken for a couple of companies that they were leaving back to us that were stuck in the tunnel. So that's, you know, they might be busy doing that.
Go against another one. Hours after the attack, many smaller explosions rumbled through downtown.
At Ground Zero, running in the streets is the only form of escape. But on those same streets, the chaos and vibrations couldn't be avoided.
Keep your eye on that building, it'll be coming down.
The building is about to blow up. Move it back.
That's the third. Down it went. The building just fell.
I want to get inside.
show you now what happened just a few moments ago at the Trade Center. Watch the building to the left, to the back of those two buildings. This is just a few minutes ago. We don't know if something happened, another explosion, or if the building was so weakened it just collapsed.
Gather to see a world record attempt to drop this tower. CDI takes their positions. Here's what they'll watch for. The team demolished part of the parking garage, so the high-rise has a place to land. If they didn't remove enough, post-tensioning anchors could shoot out. Tom and Doug pre-blasted Ocean Tower's hurricane-proof cores. But they could still be strong enough to resist implosion. Stacy rigged a complex dual wiring system to shoot the cores at the perfect time. If the det cord crosses, mansions to the north could be destroyed as the building falls uncontrollably.
Mark, we're in the red.
Here we go. 10,
9, 8, 7,
5.
fire.
And then you heard from far away, boom, boom. And you heard the boom, 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 boom.
This could be the highest reinforced concrete structure ever imploded.
Floor by floor instead of popping out.
It was like, it was if they had detonated.
Yeah,
If they were
detonated,
planned
yeah.
to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
From the corner, boom, 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 boom. Just like 20 straight hits. And as the bombs were going, people just started running. And I sat there and watched a few of them explode. And it just started going pop. It just started going boom, 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 boom. And he goes, how fast? I go, like firecrackers.
Ocean Tower comes down in 13 seconds.
Отойди в сторону. Где-то он. Где-то он. Где-то он. Пенальти не пенальти. Все. Котор мы будем пенальти.
wat je ziet bij het World Trade Center. Dit zijn beelden van gebouw nummer 7.
Ja.
Ja, zullen we deze maar eens even pakken. Kijken wat we dan zien.
Zie jij een brand van boven ergens?
Ik zie wel rook.
Ja, stof krijg je altijd. Er is niks van tevoren uitgehaald, hè? Zie je vanaf boven gaan? Nee, je gaat vanaf onder.
Die gaat vanaf onder, ja.
Toch?
Ja.
Ze hebben gewoon kolommen weggeblazen. Er is nagesprongen.
Dit valt anders dan het World Trade Center.
Vind je niet dan?
Ja, je ziet het, de onderste verdiepingen gaan eerst.
Ja, en de rest zakt er gewoon in. Dus dit is controlled demolition.
Zeker weten?
Zeker weten. Er is nagesprongen. Dit is in opdracht gebeurd. Dit heeft een team gedaan van experts.
Maar dit is ook op 11 september gebeurd.
Dezelfde dag?
Dezelfde dag.
Dezelfde dag? Weet je dat zeker?
Ja. Daar gaat hij weer.
Ik kan me herinneren dat ze zeiden dat er nagesprongen is, maar het heeft dagen gerookt. Er was al veel rook weg. Was het zeker weten de 11e? Dat kan geen waar zijn.
7 uur nadat de World Trade Center naar beneden viel.
Ja? Hebben ze hard gewerkt. Ik ken de constructie van het gebouw niet, maar dan hebben ze heel rigoureus, heel snel lading aangebracht. Ze hadden dan wel de mazzel, omdat er al zoveel verwoest was in de omgeving, dat je dan ook niet zo secuur hoeft te zijn. Hè? Je kunt je voorstellen als daar allemaal gebouwen rondstaan die gewoon intact zijn en intact moeten blijven. Met gevoelige computerapparatuur. Daar moet je heel precies van tevoren je verzwakking aanbrengen enzovoort enzovoorts.
Maar zo netjes ziet het er wel uit, alsof ze het heel netjes hebben gedaan.
Ja, oké, dat kan wel zo zijn. Alleen, ik doel dan meer op misschien inderdaad het plaatsen van pakketlading in plaats van al dat voorsnijbrandwerk en een lineaire snijlading toepassen. Hè? Dus, gewoon rigoureus, omdat het toch een zootje was.
Geen snijbrandwerk, maar gewoon alleen wat ladingen.
Gewoon ladingen er tegenaan en echt snel. De situatie was volledig vervuild in de omgeving.
Okay. Ja, nou, even globaal dan. Stel dat u die opdracht zou krijgen. Kijk, dit is de plattegrond van dat gebouw. Hier zie je
van nummer 7.
Dat is nummer 7, ja. Dit zijn de dragende stalen kolommen.
Oh, dat zijn nog niet eens zoveel.
Nee, dat zijn er niet zoveel.
Dat verklaart heel veel.
Dat verklaart wat dan?
Dat het snel kan.
Dat kun je snel opblazen?
Dit kun je heel snel opblazen.
Want
want kijk, ik weet natuurlijk niet de hoogte van de vloeren. Dan we dat voorop stellen. Maar misschien dat ze in het midden wat meer verdieping hebben geplaatst. Maar in principe behoor je alleen maar per kolom. Je zou dit nog met snijbrander en snijladingen kunnen doen.
Maar welke kolommen moet je opblazen om het gebouw zo netjes te laten instorten als dat we nu net zagen?
Dit hard. Dit hard.
Dit hard.
Alhoewel,
dus
ik wil...
Deze 12 of zo.
Ja, alhoewel als ik wel een fotootje gezien heb op het internet vanaf boven gezien. En dan was het toch niet zo netjes hoor. Want dan stonden de Russen nog ergens aan de zijkant wanden zo van 13, 14 verdiepingen nog overeind.
Nee, het was heel netjes.
Nou, dat kan ik je laten zien op het internet. Ik zou niet direct weten wat het filmpje het was, maar het lag niet zo mooi op een hoopje, laat ik het zo zeggen. Kijk, van de 47 was hij net ingekort.
Dit is het hoopje.
Nou ja, kijk eens. Dat bedoel ik. Dat is nog heel wat.
Maar je kunt er omheen lopen. Ziet u?
Ja, oké. Maar
het
dit
is zo netjes dat je er omheen kunt lopen.
Maar dit staat nog.
Ja.
Dat bedoel ik. Je laat precies de foto zien die ik bedoelde.
Maar dit is een ander gebouw.
Is dat een ander gebouw?
Ja, dat is het gebouw daarnaast.
Dat hebben ze later dan ook gesloopt.
Nee.
Puin ligt er toch tegenaan, zou je zeggen.
Ja, maar dat gebouw nee, dat is bij mijn weten niet gesloopt.
En dit gebouw ook niet?
Ik weet niet zeker. Maar in ieder geval, dit is gebouw 7. Dit hoort daar niet bij. Dit is het Vierzongebouw, heet dat.
Even kijken, hoe moet ik het nou zien? Is dit een ander gebouw?
Ja.
Tja, waren er maar meer foto's van.
Nou, er zijn ook wat luchtopnames van, maar overal zie je toch duidelijk dat alleen gebouw 7 keurig is ingestort met de buitenwanden naar binnen. Als een envelopje,
maar dat doe je je begint hier met je eerste tijden En dan met je vertraging zijn naar buiten toe.
Ja.
Zodat die vloeren naar binnen knikken enzovoort enzovoort. En maar, een lading in een haarbalk. Laten we zeggen dat het haarprofielen zijn geweest. Je hebt maar twee gaten te branden. In het midden een snijladingje, 2 zo schuin. En dat doe je beneden nog een keer. Je zet een druklading er tegen. Een stuk hout en een druklading. En je sluit ze aan en boem, het is weg. Hè? Dat doen wij ook. Wij laten ook staalconstructies omduikelen of in elkaar storten.
Maar hoe lang zou u ermee bezig zijn om dit gebouw dan...
Nou, als je hier met voldoende mensen naartoe gaat en eentje geeft de streepjes aan wat de snijbrandjongen dat moet gaan doen. En snijlading er tegenaan met een stuk duct tape is no time werk.
Mm-hmm.
1 minuut per lading, nog niet. Een half minuut.
Nou, je moet natuurlijk alle leidingen en alle bedrading moet je aanbrengen.
Dat valt allemaal reuze mee. Dat iedereen kent zijn taak.
Met hoeveel man heeft u hoeveel tijd nodig om dat te doen?
Dat weet ik niet precies. Maar...
Maakt u een inschatting?
Ja, dan moet je wel ervaren mensen hebben. Maar als je een man of 30, 40 zou hebben. Kijk, een paar met de snijbrander. De rest brengt hem aan. Andere mensen sluiten dat deadcord met die boosters aan. Dat moet allemaal precies op hetzelfde moment gaan. En weer een derde die zet de elektronische systemen erop. En dan gaat hij.
En dit gebouw kan niet spontaan zijn ingestort. Doordat bijvoorbeeld aan deze kolommen hier of deze hier beschadigd zijn op deze manier.
Nee, dat lijkt me sterk. Huh? Maar ik heb dus absoluut geen enkele beeld van de zijde van die grote torens naar gebouw nummer 7 toe.
Nou, dat heb ik ook nog een beetje als hypothese bekijkt. Kijk, dit is de schade zo'n beetje in het hele gebied van
hoe ver stond het
Ground Zero.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. I said, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Floor's clear. Ground's clear. 3, 2, 1. Fire. Nice job, team.
Eastern Time when a plane crashed into the World Trade Center. That building, that was the building hit first. And then about a half an hour later, a second plane, and I'm not sure if we have the tape available. If we do, we'll show it to you. You can see the second plane coming in from the right side of your screen, going into the tower itself. New York have been hit by airplanes. In Washington, there is a large fire at the Pentagon. The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there, as you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing.
Because everybody, once you have seen Building 7, there is no way back. You can cheat on yourself, and you can try to suppress it, but you cannot. You have seen it, and then there is no way back. It's not very healthy, you know, to lie to yourself and say, no, I didn't see that. Yeah. But many people do, because it's simply too painful.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing, and indeed it has. It seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city, but completely disappeared now, and New York is still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Presumably there were very few people in the Salomon building when it collapsed. I mean, there were, I suppose, fears of possible further collapses around the area.
That's what you would hope, because they don't really know where to turn. That's the very sad thing. I think there's going to be a lot of very, very traumatized people that has hit them very, very hard.
Jane, I think many of us, when we heard the news, perhaps on the radio earlier today, were completely flabbergasted by it and just couldn't comprehend it. I mean, it almost sounded too far-fetched. I was wondering what it's felt like for you being in Manhattan. Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan.
Now, here we're going to show you a videotape of the collapse itself. Describe that. Now we go to videotape, the collapse of this building. Amazing, incredible picture word.
Too far-fetched.
For the third time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
See what you see and not what you're supposed to see.